Hey Deckers, who would have thought that Baldur's Gate 3 would have got an update specifically targeted at the Steam Deck? Well, I guess Linux in general, but boy, has it made a hell of a difference. Just look at how much clearer the image is now, and we're bouncing between 40 and 50 frames per second for the most part, without it looking like a hideous mess. Okay, this is some of the cutscenes, but this is in the Rivington area, which was historically absolutely terribly performing. But as we are moving around the city, you can see that we aren't in a hazy mess like we were before. So if I loop back to how it was prior to this update, and sorry, I had HDR on the new recording, so the color may be a bit different varying on your monitors, but you'll see that even on the absolute lowest graphics settings possible, we were running at sub 20 frames per second some of the time, and hideous effects all around the character with that light effects. But now with the update, and even if I run through the same sort of areas, we're holding above 30 frames per second, but more importantly, the scenery and the effects around the character actually look pretty decent. This does get better when we are in cutscenes, and we do still get occasional dips under that 30 frames per second, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was in previous updates. To top it off, not only was it looking great, but I was actually running it at pretty medium settings. AMD FSR 2 on balance mode, but with the model quality and terrain up at medium, things are performing exceptionally well. If I go back to the second act and one of the big boss fights here, again we get a couple of minor dips here and there, but bouncing between 30 and 50 frames per second, looking absolutely smooth with gorgeous effects around the characters is where we were able to play. So if you are replaying this or you are still in Acts 1 and 2, you're going to have a much better time than you did before, and it was pretty playable even before the update, but now Act 3 is actually bearable on the Steam Deck. So fantastic work from the Larian team, and kudos to that developer who wanted to make it a much better experience on the Steam Deck as well. Of course, this was also added to GeForce Now, and with the 90Hz update, we can push over 90 frames per second, even with the biggest Ultra update, and it looked absolutely perfect on the Steam Deck itself, but don't expect to keep above that 90, especially running through the middle of town, as we do still get some of those dips, but at least you have more options now, and definitely a much better portable option if you want to complete Baldur's Gate 3 on your Steam Deck. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.